Honorable Speaker, the ANC unequivocally supports the principle of land expropriation without compensation as moved by the EFF. Honorable Speaker, we may disagree on the modalities, but the principle we agree. There's no question about that. And we are committed to implementing the resolution of the African National Congress, which resonates very well with the motion led by the CIC of the EFF. Honorable Speaker, let's just put context to this. You know, Honorable Speaker, in the 30s already, the first president of the African National Congress, Dr. John Langalbalele Dube, he says the following. He says, there are only 1 million of you, and there are about 6 million of us. And 1 million of you have 3/4 of the land, and 6 million of us, as he put it, have 1/4 of the land. That is not fair. In asking for more land, I do not think we are asking for charity. We have contributed to the development of South Africa with our labor. We have done our share in that respect. And in the matter of taxation, both direct and indirect, close quote. That is Dr. Langalbalele Dube in the 30s already. This is the context of the resolution before us. The resolution of the ANC's 54th National Conference that land should be expropriated without compensation speaks to this historical injustice. And we are committed to correcting it as the African National Congress. Listen to this, because I'm addressing the context of this motion. He vigorously fought off the commissioner's views because he was making this presentation to a commission. He vigorously fought off the commissioner's views that Africans did not know how to use their land properly, that any more would just be wasted, that Africans multiplied too fast, that they had too many cattle. He then says, the black ox has nowhere to feed, and the white ox has all the pastures. I am sorry if I cannot make that clear to you. He is addressing a commission. Now, this is a context, because in this context, what I've just read now is an address by Dr. Langalbalele Dube. Now, the ANC is government now. Now, it is important for us to actually draw this distinction when we talk about modalities, not the principle. Principle is fine. The ANC is government. And as government, the ANC cannot fail the people of South Africa, because it is the people of South Africa who put the ANC where it is today, as government. That is why, during his State of the Nation address, the President of the Republic, President Cyril Ramaphosa, had the following to say in elaborating on this resolution of the ANC. He says, accelerate our land redistribution program, not only to redress a grave historical injustice, but also to bring more producers into the agricultural sector and to make more land available for cultivation. We will pursue a comprehensive approach that makes effective use of all the mechanizations, of all the mechanisms at our disposal. Lastly, he says, guided by the resolutions of the 54th National Conference of the governing party, this approach will include expropriation of land without compensation. So there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Land shall be expropriated without compensation. This will be implemented in a way that increases agricultural production, improves food security, and ensure that land is returned to those from whom it was taken under colonialism and apartheid. There is a narrative which is false, that land was stolen from the indigenous people of this country. That is a false narrative. Nobody was asleep when land was taken. It was taken through brutal wars of colonialism. So let us do away with this narrative that says land was stolen, as if our people were asleep. The first war of dispossession, you may call it a skirmish, took place here in 1659 already. When the Khoi people went to Jan van Riebeeck and these people and said, we have observed now that you are putting up permanent structures here, telling us that you're not intending to leave our country. Jan van Riebeeck's men, he doesn't say in his diary that they actually shot them. You know why they shot them? Because they drove them and they went away. They came back with their own construction, tools, and to put up their own, what you refer to as the first shacks, which therefore demonstrated that the first war of dispossession, they fought with them, they shot them. In 1660, at the conference in the Netherlands, Jan van Riebeeck submits a report that these people came and claimed their land. So it is not correct that it was after 1913. It was long before that. The people went to Jan van Riebeeck's men and said, this is our land. Those are the Khoi and the San. So we, as South Africans, all of us, when we debate the question of land, yes, it is an emotive thing, but we are government now. We are government now. Now, coming back to the land audit, which was referred to in the discussions. We have conducted a land audit, 2017, as the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform. Yes, we'll make it available today. We're busy printing the copies. You'll get the copies there. This reflects, just look at this, because we are talking about, we're giving context to the resolution by the CIC of the FF. That audit report reflects the following ownership pattern across races. That whites own 26.6 million hectares, that is 72% of the total 37 million hectares of farms and agricultural holdings by individual landowners, followed by colored at 15%, Indians at 5%, and Africans a lousy 4%. This is the context of the resolution, rather the draft resolution before us. Now, this land audit which we conducted, there's one interesting thing which we must not lose sight of. There are institutions here, trusts, companies, they own land in this country. Now, these are institutions, that is the next target. And in the land audit, there is a recommendation that we should establish a land administration commission. Already there's a bill before cabinet, regulation of agricultural land bill. It actually, and one of the conditions there is that a land commission should be established, and everybody who owns land in this country must declare with that. If they don't do so, that will be, and there will be action taken against them in terms of South African law. Because what they're doing, they're hiding the ownership, because trust will not tell us. We've tried our best to know who constitutes this trust. They don't tell us, because trust belongs to justice. Companies belong to DTI. You have community-based organizations. You have got all of these kinds of institutions out there, including churches, by the way. They own land. So, of course, government should own land. Government should own land because government is the government of the people. It's a government which is not the government of the people. We should never own land. Now listen to this, because I know that those of us in this house on the left, the honorable members there, they have got this question that there's communal land out there, etc. It belongs to the chiefs, and wherever you try to do, they say, it's because you're appeasing the chiefs. Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is what Dr. Dube says. He says, he says, uppermost in my mind and in the mind of African people was the land issue. They needed far more of it, particularly those who could not afford to buy. The land ought to be purchased for them and handed over. All the African areas ought to be properly surveyed and divided into building plots, grazing grounds, and gardens. People could pay a nominal rent for their plots. Then already, he understood that there were people who could not afford. So a progressive revolutionary government ought to then have land and allocate it to people. Now the reason, let me tell you what. When we started the department in 2009, we don't remember some of them sitting here, we checked how much land have we lost, because those programs were giving title deeds to people. Let us be careful here. Let us not be fashionable with capitalists that are sitting on the left thinking that, you know, anything is honky-dory. No. When we did so, we said to them, how much land have we lost since we bought land through LRAD, SPLAG, you know? They said 5% had already been lost to the market. Because people who got land and given title deeds, they then couldn't work the land, they went for loans, and they could not service the loans, and what happened? The same people who owned the land took the land back. We lost 5%. That is why we then said, we're not doing LRAD anymore. We're only going to focus on PLUS, proactive land acquisition strategy. And through that, we kept the land. And we made it available for our people to work it. Because even now, I say, honorable members, even now, if we think we'll just make land available because they say so, and then make land available and give title deeds, be careful. You'll lose that land. When we started the department, 14 farms already were about to be auctioned because our people could not service them. And we put up 87 million rands in 2009 to defend and protect those farms. That's why we stopped the title deeds until our people were in a position and government was in a position to defend them. Now is the time. We are agreed. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.